Welcome back to Vietnam News, where East meets West. I'm Peter, and here's what's making headlines. Tonight, a shocking stone attack on a Loro student in central Vietnam, a massive National Day amnesty for nearly 14,000 prisoners, and the full calendar guide to Ghost Month 2025. We'll also cover Vietnam's new domestic abuse law, the record-breaking success of the war film Red Rain, and Sun Group's $2 billion casino project in Quang Ninh. It's crime, culture, policy, entertainment, and big business all in one show. Let's get started.
For our first story, we turn to Quang Ninh province in central Vietnam, where a shocking and violent incident occurred on the nation's National Day, September 2nd. At around 3:30 in the afternoon, a Lao student was riding a motorbike when a man on a motorbike hurled a concrete stone directly at him. The impact struck the student's head, causing a traumatic brain injury. Nearby residents rushed to help and quickly took him to the hospital for emergency treatment. By 5 o'clock that evening, Quang Ninh police had already classified the case as extremely serious and launched an urgent investigation. Their swift response led to the identification and arrest of the suspect not long after the incident. The man in custody is 34-year-old LNHS, a resident of Nilo Ward in Quang Ninh City. When questioned, the suspect claimed that the attack happened because he was frustrated over a language barrier he encountered while on the road. According to his statement, that brief moment of anger drove him to throw the stone at the passing student and then flee. Many observers find that explanation unconvincing, given both the severity of the attack and the suspect's history of crime. Later that night, police conducted an emergency search of the suspect's home. What they found raised even more alarm: a bag of white crystals suspected to be methamphetamine, along with dangerous weapons and other related evidence. This discovery painted a clearer picture of a man still immersed in criminal activity, and not someone who had turned his life around after prison. The timing of the attack added to the shock. It occurred during National Day celebrations, one of Vietnam's most important public holidays, when communities gather in a spirit of pride and unity. Against this backdrop of festivity, the violent act stood out all the more, leaving residents unsettled and saddened. The incident carries wider implications. On one level, it's a reminder of the risks posed when individuals with a long history of crime and drug involvement return to communities without sufficient oversight or support. On another level, the fact that the victim was a foreign student raises concerns about safety for international visitors and students in Vietnam. Acts like this, though isolated, can cast long shadows over the image of hospitality and friendship the country works hard to uphold. Authorities have pledged to handle the case strictly under the law, sending a message that such violence will not be tolerated. But it also prompts deeper questions. How can rehabilitation and reintegration programs better address the risks posed by repeat offenders? What measures can communities and local law enforcement take to prevent sudden outbursts of violence, especially during major public events? And then there's the suspect's claim of frustration over a language barrier. Was this truly the trigger, or simply a cover for deeper issues like ongoing drug use and uncontrolled aggression? Viewers may ask themselves, does society do enough to reduce those underlying risks before they explode into tragedy? This case is a stark reminder that safety and vigilance matter at all times, even in moments of national celebration. While the victim fights to recover, the community must also grapple with how to ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. What's your reaction to this story? Do you believe the suspect's explanation, or do you think there's more beneath the surface? And what steps should be taken to protect both local citizens and international students in Vietnam? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Vietnam just celebrated its 80th National Day, and what a weekend it was. Between the military parades, fireworks, and family gatherings, the government marked the occasion with something truly historic: the largest prisoner amnesty in the country's history. Nearly 14,000 inmates, including 66 foreigners, walked free. Now, you might be thinking, wait, did I hear that right? 14,000 people? Yup, it's the second big amnesty of 2025. And when you add it to the first round back in April, that makes more than 22,000 people granted freedom in a single year. That's a record breaker, and it all happened just in time for the big anniversary. So let's break it down. On September 1st, one day before National Day, amnesty ceremonies were held across the country. At Phu Son 4 prison in northern Vietnam, 435 inmates were released in a formal event attended by Deputy Prime Minister Nguyen Hoa Binh. He reminded everyone that freedom is just the beginning, encouraging former inmates to reunite with family and rebuild their lives with honesty and purpose. And here's a stat that might surprise you. Since 2009, nearly 100,000 inmates have been granted amnesty in Vietnam, and the reoffending rate is incredibly low, just 0.13% last year. That's almost unheard of compared to many Western prison systems. It suggests that these releases aren't just symbolic, they actually work. The September 2nd National Day anniversary made this year's amnesty especially meaningful. While the country reflected on 80 years since independence was declared in 1945, thousands of families also celebrated private homecomings. Imagine the scene: parades rolling through Hanoi, fireworks lighting up the night sky, and somewhere across the country, parents hugging children they haven't seen in years. It's also worth noting that the amnesty wasn't limited to Vietnamese nationals. 66 foreigners from 18 different countries, including the US, Australia, South Korea, and Nigeria, were also included. A true international mix in what's already a very Vietnamese tradition of mercy. For Western viewers, this might feel a bit unusual. Mass pardons tied to national holidays aren't really common in places like the US or Europe. But here in Vietnam, amnesty is built into the legal and cultural fabric. It's a practice rooted in compassion, rehabilitation, and the idea that even after mistakes, people deserve a genuine second chance. And importantly, this doesn't apply to political prisoners or those charged with terrorism. The focus is on non-violent offenders who've shown good behavior and are ready to reintegrate into society. So, what's the takeaway from this year's historic release? First, it shows Vietnam putting action behind its words about rehabilitation. It's one thing to talk about compassion. It's another to free thousands of people and trust them with a new beginning. Second, it adds an extra layer of meaning to the 80th National Day, not just about independence in 1945, but about personal independence for thousands of families in 2025. And third, it's a reminder that national celebrations aren't just about parades, speeches, and fireworks. Sometimes the most powerful moments happen quietly, like a mother welcoming her son home after years apart. So, as the flags are folded up and the fireworks smoke drifts away, Vietnam's 80th National Day leaves behind more than memories. It leaves behind fresh starts, nearly 14,000 of them. Mark your calendars. Saturday, September 6th, 2025 isn't just another Saturday in Vietnam. It's the very peak of Ghost Month, the day when tradition says the gates of the spirit world swing wide open and wandering souls pour into ours. Imagine Halloween, but older, deeper, and with way more meaning than costumes and candy. On this day, families across Vietnam light incense, prepare offerings, and honor both ancestors and restless spirits. But here's the twist. 2025's Ghost Month doesn't follow the usual schedule at all. Thanks to a rare calendar quirk, the ghosts are arriving fashionably late this year. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why September 6th matters so much, but also uncover the cultural secrets, traditions, and even a few superstitions that make this Ghost Month unlike any other. First things first. Ghost Month in 2025 actually runs from August 23rd to September 21st. And the spiritual climax, The 15th day of the 7th lunar month, when the ghostly gates swing wide open, lands exactly on Saturday, September 6th, 2025. So if you caught wind of rumors that the ghosts went AWOL last July, well, they hadn't gone rogue. They were just fashionably late, arriving in their own lunar time zone. Here's where things get geeky cool. Unlike our steady-as-she-goes Gregorian calendar, the lunar solar system swoops in with a crunchy twist: leap months. In 2025, we're blessed or haunted with not one, but 2 sixth lunar months. A standard one, followed by a leap 6th month to help realign lunar cycles with solar seasons. So instead of ghost month nudging into July, the calendar pushes everything down the line. The regular 6th lunar month runs from July 25th to August 22nd. Then the leap 6th month from August 23rd to September 21st, shoving the ghostly happenings well into early September. Now, let's rewind and explain what Ghost Month actually means in Vietnamese culture. Ghost Month, known as Thang Co Hon, literally the month of lonely spirits, is seen as a time when the underworld's gates open, allowing spirits, especially those without descendants, to stroll back among the living. But spoiler alert, it's not just about eerie apparitions, it's a time steeped in compassion, ancestor respect, and reflection. Deep within Chinese Taoist roots, the 15th day of this lunar month symbolizes the Hungry Ghost Festival, when these spirits are thought to be especially active. In the Vietnamese context, it merges with Vu Lan, a Buddhist festival of filial piety. Think of it as the heartfelt cousin of Ghost Month, but instead of scaring you, it gently reminds you to call your folks. Westerners in Vietnam, what to do and not do. So, whether you're visiting, living here, or just daydreaming about a Vietnamese cafe run during Ghost Month, here's a survival and respect guide. Do's: light offerings, burn incense, drop some respectful vibes. Lanterns on the river, spirit rice, and gentle acts of remembrance go a long way. Wear it with meaning. Embrace Vu Lan by joining the rose ceremony. Red for living mothers, white for those who've passed. It's tender, communal, and deeply Vietnamese. Take it slow. This period encourages reflection. Visit a temple, release a lantern or fish, and soak in the soulful rhythms not found in your average travel itinerary. Don'ts: rush into life-changing decisions. Many locals avoid weddings, moving house, or big purchases during this month. It's not ghost paranoia. It's psychological peace of mind. Ignore everyday taboos. Avoid drying clothes at night, calling someone's name in the dark, or snapping night photos of your dinner. Locals say these might invite unwanted spirits. Ghost Month isn't about fear. The taboos are optional. The heart of the season is in kindness, remembrance, and slowing life down. Picture this. You're a Westerner in HCMC, mid-August heatwave, thinking, why is everyone so hush-hush? Did I miss a ghost memo? Suddenly, they appear. But instead of Casper, it's the full ritual setup. Rice porridge, salt, incense, even hell money. Yep, imaginary bills for the afterlife. You might find yourself like, is this crispy rice offering for my ancestors, or do I ask for a refund if they don't spend it? It's all about respect, superstition, and community cheer, usually a bit of both. So there you have it, the real story behind Ghost Month 2025. It slips into your calendar, hangs around with its lanterns and offerings, and reminds you, being haunted by good tradition beats being spooked by bad luck any day. If you're in Vietnam during this time, go with curiosity, bring respect, light some incense, and maybe call your mom. She'll appreciate it just as much as those wandering spirits. Catch you next time for another captivating culture crash. Until then, may your rice porridge be steaming and your spirits, the friendly kind, ever present. Vietnam has just introduced a new measure that could significantly reshape how domestic violence cases are handled. Starting September 4th, 2025, anyone accused of domestic abuse can now face a 4-day no-contact order, with police and community members ensuring it is enforced. So, what does this actually mean? In the past, local authorities had up to 3 days to assign someone to supervise an abuser once a protective order was issued. That delay often left victims vulnerable in a critical window of time. Under the new rule, that waiting period has been reduced to just 1 hour. Within 60 minutes of the order being signed, a supervisor must be appointed to ensure compliance. A no-contact order in this context is straightforward but powerful. It forbids the abuser from approaching or communicating with the victim for 3 to 4 days. It's temporary, designed to give the victim immediate safety and breathing space. And if the order becomes unnecessary, it can be lifted early. The focus is on rapid protection rather than long legal battles. What makes this measure stand out is the role of community supervision. Enforcement doesn't rely only on police officers. Instead, local leaders, women's union members, or trusted community volunteers step in as supervisors. Their role is not only to monitor, but also to educate. They remind offenders about conflict management, stress control, and the importance of nonviolent behavior. This approach combines accountability with rehabilitation, aiming not just to punish, but to prevent future harm. Why is this important? First, speed saves lives. Reducing the response time from 3 days to 1 hour drastically narrows the window in which further abuse can happen. Second, involving the community means victims are not left isolated. Supervision by familiar, trusted figures adds another layer of safety. And third, the educational element tries to break the cycle of violence at its roots, not just contain it temporarily. This rule builds on Vietnam's broader legal framework to combat domestic violence. Under the 2022 law, victims already have rights to legal aid, shelters, and psychological support. They can also request protective measures. What's new here is the urgency. The law is no longer just a promise. It's immediate action. Within 1 hour, a system of protection must be in place. It's worth noting how this compares to other countries. Many nations issue restraining orders or no-contact directives, but Vietnam's community-based enforcement is unique. Instead of leaving everything to law enforcement, it creates a shared responsibility. Neighbors, unions, and local leaders all play a role. This social accountability can make the difference between a piece of paper and real protection. Imagine being in a situation of fear, unsure of what comes next, and then within an hour, a community leader is officially assigned to your case, ensuring your safety while offering support. That immediacy can bring enormous relief and begin the process of recovery. Vietnam's 4-day no-contact order, coupled with 1-hour enforcement and community oversight, marks a bold new model in addressing domestic violence. It is fast, practical, and rooted in the fabric of society. What do you think of this approach? Could a system like this work in other countries? Or is it something uniquely suited to Vietnam's community structures? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this discussion meaningful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more insights into how laws are shaping lives around the world. Welcome to the very first entertainment segment here on Vietnam News. I'm going to have one story per video where we'll dive into the latest trends in film, television, music, and culture, spotlighting the stories that move audiences and reshape industries. And what better way to kick things off than with a film that has taken Vietnam by storm? We're talking about Red Rain, or Mưa Đỏ in Vietnamese, the war epic that is smashing box office records and stirring powerful emotions nationwide. In just 12 days, Red Rain grossed over 400 billion Vietnamese dong, about 15 million US dollars, making it the fastest Vietnamese film ever to hit that benchmark. On September 1st alone, it earned 55 billion dong in a single day, the highest daily gross ever recorded for a domestic production. This runaway success has put Red Rain on track to become the highest grossing film in Vietnam's cinematic history. Directed by Dong Tai Huynh, Red Rain is based on a novel by Chu Lai and tells the gripping story of a North Vietnamese squad fighting during the 81-day Battle of Quang Tri in 1972. This was one of the fiercest battles of the war, and the film captures it with stunning realism and raw emotion. In fact, the film's impact extends beyond box office numbers. It signals a revival of Vietnam's historical cinema. While comedies and romance dramas have long dominated local screens, films like Peach Blossom, Pho, and Piano and Tuttle, Sun in the Dark hinted at a comeback for history-driven storytelling. Red Rain has now proven that, when produced with authenticity and artistry, war films can captivate mainstream audiences. The production scale was enormous. Filming took place on a 50-hectare set built along the Pachan River, right near the historic battlefield. Multiple cameras rolled simultaneously to capture massive battle scenes, giving audiences an epic sense of scale. The cast includes Don Yat Huang, Ha Anh, and Stephen Nguyen, who bring the human side of war to life with both vulnerability and intensity. But Red Rain isn't just about explosions and battle sequences. It is a film of memory and heart. Older viewers are transported back to a time that shaped their lives, while younger generations gain a visceral understanding of sacrifice and resilience. That emotional depth explains why so many screenings end in silence, with audiences processing the story long after the credits roll. Nationwide buzz has followed. Tickets are selling out in Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, and across the country. Many predict it will soon overtake Mai, the current record holder, and claim the crown as Vietnam's most successful film of all time. Behind the scenes, this success is the result of careful collaboration. The film took 3 years to produce, with the People's Army Cinema and Galaxy Studio combining resources. Veterans contributed to the authenticity, ensuring that the depiction of the Quang Tri Citadel battle was faithful to history, and director Dong Tai Huynh has made history herself, becoming the first woman to lead a Vietnamese film beyond the 300 and 400 billion dong milestones. So what does this all mean? For Vietnam, Red Rain is not only entertainment, but also cultural catharsis, a way to honor sacrifice, relive memory, and redefine cinematic possibilities. For global audiences, it is proof that Vietnamese cinema has entered a bold new era, capable of delivering films that rival international blockbusters in both scope and storytelling. And that's the power of stories like this one. They entertain us, yes, but they also remind us who we are and where we come from. If you enjoyed this first entertainment segment, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And let us know in the comments. Have you seen Red Rain yet? Or would you like to see more films from Vietnam's growing cinema movement? And our last story of the night brings us to Quang Ninh province, where a massive development is set to change the landscape of Vietnam's tourism and entertainment industry. A $2 billion casino and resort complex that will transform Quang Ninh province by the year 2032. Sun Group, through its subsidiary Van Don Joint Stock Company, has been officially approved to build what will be called the Van Don Integrated Casino and Tourism Complex. The project will rise inside the Van Don Economic Zone, covering nearly 244 hectares of coastal and forested land. This is not just another luxury resort. It is a fully integrated development, designed with hotels, resorts, condotels, offices, a convention center, shop houses, sports and wellness facilities, museums, and large entertainment areas. At its heart will be a high-end casino, unique in that it will allow Vietnamese citizens to participate under strict regulations. This marks a major shift in national policy, as casinos in Vietnam have traditionally been restricted to foreign visitors. The scale of the project is staggering. Sun Group plans to include multiple 30-story hotel towers, international standard convention facilities, amusement parks, cultural attractions, and an ecosystem of 24-hour entertainment. The idea is to create a destination that rivals global gaming and leisure hubs like Macau or Las Vegas, while retaining a uniquely Vietnamese identity. The government has granted the project an operating lifespan of up to 70 years. Construction will unfold in phases with a 9-year completion timeline once the land is officially allocated. Economically, the impact is expected to be transformative. Quang Ninh province anticipates revenues of more than 228 trillion dong, about 9.6 billion US dollars, over the lifetime of the project. In addition, the development is expected to create roughly 6,000 jobs, spanning construction, hospitality, entertainment, and management. For Sun Group, this is the latest in a series of landmark projects in Quang Ninh. The company has already invested in Van Don International Airport, the Ha Long International Cruise Port, major expressways, a Sun World Ha Long theme park, the Yoko Onsen Quang Han Resort, and the Oakwood Ha Long Hotel. With this new casino resort complex, Sun Group is positioning Van Don as a world-class tourism and entertainment destination. The implications go beyond tourism. Allowing Vietnamese nationals to enter the casino is a clear signal of a shifting approach to leisure policy. Regulators are crafting conditions to ensure responsible participation, but the decision also reflects Vietnam's growing middle and upper class and their demand for sophisticated entertainment options. Of course, questions remain. How will Vietnam balance economic opportunity with the social risks that come with casino gaming? Can the Van Don project compete not only with nearby destinations like Macau, but also with the fast-rising casino hubs across Southeast Asia? And what environmental safeguards will be needed to ensure that the mix of coastal, forest, and urban land is preserved responsibly? Still, for many, this development represents confidence in Vietnam's future. It is a bet on tourism, on culture, and on the ability of a Vietnamese company to deliver a mega project that stands shoulder to shoulder with international icons. So what do you think? Is this casino resort the future of high-end tourism in Vietnam, or a risky gamble? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on Vietnam News. If you found this report insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay informed and stay inspired. Now back to you, Peter.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. I'm Peter, and from all of us here at Vietnam News, thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next report.